everyone, and welcome back to Animation Pilgrimage, where we take a look at all theatrically released films and watch them in chronological order. Animated films. I always forget the animated part. Anyway,
very clearly you don't see other films as real films.
Exactly. I turned my nose up at them.
That's not true.
It's half true.
I'm Sean.
And I'm Tennille. Today, though, we aren't looking at animated films. We are looking at animated shorts.
And a few TV specials.
Yeah, the line between shorts and TV specials is really...
disappearing?
It's gone. It's just gone. The line is gone.
Okay.
Someone took their foot and
smudged
it all out. So...
Either that or they took a stop motion figure that just kind of rolled through it and broke it in a jittery fashion. I guess another thing we should note about this episode is it's kind of a Christmas episode.
Merry Christmas?
I mean, we're talking about 3 Christmas specials.
We are.
In this episode. So...
we certainly are.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday! So, I wanted to start this off by saying that this is probably going to be our last shorts episode. In the past, we've done shorts that covered from the beginning of animation all the way up through the end of the 30s.
Mm-hmm.
And then we covered all of the 40s. And then we did another one when we reached the end of the 50s that was all of the 50s. And this time, we are covering the shorts from the 60s.
All of the 60s.
Yes. Even though we're only through 1965 in Animation Pilgrimage.
Okay.
But we're going to cover all the 60s shorts here. That's because there's not very many that we're covering. And...
most are in the first half?
like I was saying earlier, the shorts just kind of die after this decade.
Yeah. Is this because
things move to TV?
Okay, that's what I was going to ask.
Well, was there more to that, or?
No, I was just going to ask, is it because things were moving to TV as compared to just being shorts that were shown in the theater?
Well, I have a larger statement about this in general.
But you want to hold on to it? Okay.
Yeah, I'll hold on to it about why shorts have died. Because, and I think that's important to mention that the reason these shorts existed in the first place is they were things that would play before films in theaters.
Yeah.
And we see them every once in a while nowadays.
Nowadays,
Pixar
and Disney still kind of do them.
Sometimes.
A few
Illumination has done it a few times.
It's kind of a spotty thing, and it's not always the same companies doing it. They all just kind of I guess we'll do it once or twice. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if it's really a thing that happens overseas either. Not
in the way that it used to.
Yeah, not in the way it used to back in the 40s and 50s.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, just on today's standards, I know Pokemon did it for a really long time.
Oh, shorts before their movies?
Yeah, they would have a Pikachu short or some other Pokemon only short where none of the trainers were involved.
That's cute. I mean, we'll see that later.
Yeah.
In Animation Pilgrimage.
Yeah, hopefully we'll see most of them, because I know a lot of the American DVDs sometimes do or do not include those, which is kind of dumb.
And I also want to say, even though this form of the short animated subject has died, I don't think that's any kind of reason to be, too sad over it, because it's found life in other ways. We still see animated shorts all the time, and thanks to the internet, a lot of them have gained more life and notoriety and popularity than they would have ever have gotten in this time period.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's fair to say.
Mm-hmm. Now, it does mean that, the 60s through, 80s is kind of a wasteland in terms of
Shorts.
material. But what can you do?
Nothing. It was in the past.
Yeah. So, the first short that we are going to cover here is actually one from 1959, which we're going to go back in time a little bit and cover this because I felt bad that we skipped over it once I found out what it was. It is titled Moonbird.
Oh, yeah. So this is made by the same people that made one of the movies we watched this decade.
Mm-hmm. Of Stars and Men.
Yes, which was like a nice little...
Educational...
edutainment movie?
Edutainment documentary.
About how science is cool.
Yeah.
And apparently this was the short that they worked on before that got an Academy Award, right?
Yes, it won the Academy Award for Animated Short Subject, I guess.
Oh, nice.
Of 1959. But it's just a cute little short, similar to a sequence that happens in Of Stars and Men. The whole thing takes place with these two kids
Just
who are
talking.
obviously John Hubley and Faith Hubley's, like, children.
Mm-hmm. And they just, like, recorded them for a while, and then they decided to animate it, it sounds like.
Yeah. At least that's the best I could figure is going on. Like, if you would watch it, that's the impression you would get, is they just, like, I don't know, gave their kids a prompt, and their kids just let them talk, and one is a few years older than the other, and the youngest one's, like, clearly only, like, 3 or 4.
Yeah, not old enough to understand the concept of a prompt and, like, paying attention to it, but that's where a lot of the charm comes in.
Uh-huh.
Because he, like, wants to do things, but can't do it well. And anyways, the short itself is about a couple of kids sneaking out in the middle of the night to catch a bird.
Yeah.
And, like...
they're trying to set a trap.
Set a trap and dig a hole to hide in, and, like, the bait is candy and stuff. And it's just them commentating off of each other.
Yeah, it's very, very genuine. That is, like, the first word that comes to mind when I watch this, is it's just so genuine, because it's genuinely these kids having this genuine conversation.
Of them imagining doing all this stuff.
Right. Like, this isn't a script that was, you know, like, looked over and edited. This is just, like, the ramblings of a 3 and a 6-year-old.
Or something like
that. To
that.
each other. Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, it's really charming. And the animation's charming. Again, same problem with Of Stars and Men. It's hard to find a decent quality of this.
So everything just looks really washed out. So a lot of the details on the characters goes away, which there isn't a lot.
No.
Per se, but it's like, you can tell when it goes away.
But still, like, for limited animation, this looks really nice. It's charming. It is just like a 3-year-old and a 6-year-old talking to each other, so it's kind of annoying, too. Because, you know, kids are just kind of annoying. But it's annoyingly charming.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
I would suggest people check it out if they want.
It's honestly probably one of my favorite things on this list of things we're watching, and it's from 59, so it doesn't even count as part of
I mean, there's not a lot of great things on this list.
Yeah, like I said, though, it's a short list, so let's keep it moving. Next I want to talk about Tom and Jerry.
Okay.
We didn't actually watch any Tom and Jerry shorts.
Yeah, I was about to say, I was like, did I black out? I don't remember this.
But you've seen enough Tom and Jerry. Like, you've seen the Chuck Jones Tom Jerry cartoons, right?
Yes.
Okay. See, that's why I kind of skipped over watching them, is because we've both experienced them. So now it's time for, like, a little history lesson. Hanna-Barbera made Tom and Jerry. They did it all through the, like, I think late 30s, and then into the 40s when Tom and Jerry got really big, and they've been doing it since. And then...
I know we watched at least one Tom and Jerry here on Animation Pilgrimage.
And that was in the 40s.
Okay.
And
a long time ago.
Yeah. And then they stopped making them, and they started doing their TV stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So instead, Tom and Jerry got handed over to someone else for like a year and a half. He did like 13 shorts, and everyone kind of agrees that they were really, really bad. And I can't remember this guy's name, but he was an artist from UPA. And I gave these shorts like a quick skim, like I skimmed through some of them. And sorry, I can definitely see where people's problems come with this, because it's like very, very much a change of the Tom and Jerry formula. And it looks extremely UPA. Like all the graphic stylings, there's random squares on things. Like, don't really make any sense to be there, but it's UPA, so there's like squares.
All right.
On walls.
Okay.
Yeah. And then after that, Tom and Jerry moved over to Chuck Jones. Chuck Jones was put in charge of doing Tom and Jerry shorts. And these you get kind of more of a mixed
bag
of how people feel about him. Some just really like Chuck Jones and think that, you know, he added a whole lot to the characters. Although I think it's fair to say that a lot of people didn't like these at all.
Okay.
The Chuck Jones style just didn't work well for Tom and Jerry, because it felt more like Tom and Jerry was more like a Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote short than it was Tom and Jerry.
Okay.
And then after the Chuck Jones shorts came and went, Tom and Jerry kind of
went poof
for a little while. Just a little while. I think they turned back up in the late 70s or 80s.
Okay. I mean, that doesn't surprise me. There is always Tom and Jerry. There's been like, how many Tom and Jerry shows have shown up in the last 10 years? At least 2, maybe even 3.
Yeah. There's a lot. Tom and Jerry's just one that never goes away.
Like Scooby-Doo, which hasn't shown up yet. But he never. Once he shows up, he never goes away.
Mm-hmm. They're just kind of one of those cultural icons that even if they've always been a little subpar, they're just
people
subpar
remember them
enough.
Fondly enough.
Exactly.
Rose-tinted glasses.
Yeah. And, I mean, I like Tom and Jerry, so that's fine. I've got nothing against Tom and Jerry sticking around.
Okay.
So, Chuck Jones worked on Tom and Jerry shorts, and then he went on to make the next 2 short subject films we actually did watch, which is How the Grinch Stole Christmas and The Dot and the Line.
Yes. Now, The Grinch Stole Christmas is really limited emanation. But it's charming.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's Chuck Jones. He's got them faces.
Yeah, I still think, like, there's been several adaptations now of The Grinch.
Mm-hmm.
I still think this is the best one. Like, even over reading the book. This is the best way to experience How the Grinch Stole Christmas.
Okay.
To me, personally.
I would probably agree with you. I mean, I don't really do The Grinch a whole lot.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't either, but, like, if I had to, like, sit down and be forced to watch something Grinch-related...
I would go with this one every time.
Exactly.
If for no other reason than the fact that it's only half an hour.
Yeah, like 26 minutes or something like that. Mm-hmm. It's like, alright, I can do that.
But also, it's just better than the others, too.
Yeah. But also, like, the way the Grinch smiles and when he turns good and he gets his blue eyes and stuff like that. Like, all that stuff.
Half the time.
Yeah, half the time. It's so iconic and so memorable, and the animation's just so Chuck Jones and so charming. I really, really love it.
This other one we watched, The Dot and the Line, is a very artsy movie. Mm-hmm. Because it's literally a line who falls in love with a dot. And she is completely unimpressed with him, and she's...
Unimpressed?
Unimpressed. I thought I said that.
Okay, it sounded like unrepressed.
Unimpressed.
Yes. With
the line. And instead she goes and dates a squiggle. Mm-hmm. An unkempt squiggle. And... This
whole short has a whole bunch of, like, math puns. And geometry puns.
Yeah, and it's also like some sort of talk of like classism and stuff.
Yeah.
It's that part of it's a little more like, okay.
There's a really classic story here hidden under a lot of like bad sexist garbage from the 60s. I'm just like, oh man, if you just would have like not had that line. Line.
Yeah. But it's like, you got the high class line, and all of his high class line friends thinks he's better than dating a dot, but he loves the dot, and the dot is hanging out with someone who's very clearly like a bad boy, who is the squiggle, and it's like, it's like, all right, there's definitely like...
This is so charming, and yet I feel so uncomfortable at the same time.
Yeah, it's like, I see what you're going for, but also you're like classifying objects as like tiers of society.
Right. It's like, oh, the real life parallels here are almost too close.
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Either way,
I would love a remake of this where it's just the dot and the line and the squiggle, and all of them aren't gendered or have these very, like...
specific tendencies.
Yeah.
The personification.
Yeah.
Of specific classes.
If you just, like, stripped those elements away, I think it'd be, like... a much more classic story.
Yeah. This is one that's like, it's good, mostly.
Yeah, but
like
the
just
things
a few...
that date it really do date it, which is too bad, because I love the composition in this film, and I love how it expresses so much mood and emotion with just shapes.
Yeah.
And it's funny and it's creative.
Yeah.
I really do like the short. It's just the things that hold it back really do hold it back for me.
Yeah.
Really do keep me from recommending it to people.
To summarize how this ends, the line finally figures out that he can actually bend himself and make any shape he wants, essentially, with lots and lots of practice. And then he goes to the dot and woos her with his amazing grandeur.
He wins her.
Yeah, wins her specifically. That wording.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's part of the, like, all right. And I wanted so badly for this to end with him saying, no, I'm better than you. And not gotten back with her. Instead, he just comes, shows that he's become a better person, and then leaves her.
Oh, like you wanted him to just like be like,
I'm my own person. I don't need to chase you.
That assumes though that the 60s understands that like
character growth.
Yeah, like you should grow as a person. Your growth as a person should not be related to
winning a prize.
Other people.
Winning other people as a prize.
Right.
Yeah. But instead he gets the girl in the end and happily ever after.
Oh yeah, and of course she tells off the squiggle for being a squiggle. And it's just...
It's like, you're close. You're real
so close. Yeah. So then next, since we're already talked about the Grinch, let's get this out of the way.
Time for more Christmas.
It's time for more Christmas, and it's time for more Rankin Bass.
Rankin Bass. More like rank and foul, and rank and boring, and rank and sexist. How many times? How can I count the ways that you do not
That you
work,
displease me.
that you displease me, you rank and pompous fools?
I mean, I wouldn't really call him pompous.
No. Honestly, so yeah, we watched
Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
which was their
and-
first.
Yes, and Frosty the Snowman, because those actually came out in the 60s, and the rest of their Christmas schlop came out in the 70s.
Oh, snap.
Okay,
Okay, yeah, so to put this in context, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer came out before Willie McBean and his Magic Machine.
Yeah.
1 year before it.
But also, further context, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer was already considered like a Christmas folklore
Yeah,
by the time this short came out. So this short did not create the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer song or anything like that. It is based off the song, which is also based off of a book.
Yeah.
And
It's based off both the book and the song, so they're literally just capitalizing on a popular idea.
Exactly, but Rankin Bass didn't actually read the book. They just extrapolated from the song.
That doesn't surprise me.
They didn't use
From
what I've found out, they didn't use elements from the book at all.
other than, oh yeah, there was a book, so we'll put it in the credits.
Yeah.
I just want to challenge anyone to rewatch this movie. When was the last time you watched it? That wasn't soon enough. Watch it again. And just tell me...
Maybe don't watch it during Christmas, because that probably will...
sour your mood.
Will like, tint your glasses a little rose-colored.
But this plot makes no sense. This movie doesn't even pretend to try to, like, explain why they do things other than, oh, the song did it, so now we'll do it too.
Yeah.
He's not allowed in our reindeer games because his nose is red.
Why, though?
Why is him having a rose-colored nose a bad thing?
Means he needs to get, like, ostracized and exiled.
This is something that they don't extrapolate on at all. Just, oh, he looks different, so he's no good.
Right, and it's
Full
not,
stop.
Like he doesn't have, like, a deformity or something that would actually make it so, like, he can't play games.
Or fly, or anything. He
even shows, like, exceptional strength in those... in flying and stuff like that, but it's like,
But Santa's like,
no.
nope, and you as the father should be ashamed of yourself. It's like, he had no control over this.
And of course, guys, we know the point is that people are mean because people are mean in real life, and, you know, like, that's so that he can prove that, you know...
He's better than that, and he's welcome to be involved in stuff, but why in the first place?
This is a problem I have with a lot of Christmas media. And tell me if I'm wrong or not, but I feel like this is the case. It feels like in a lot of Christmas media, Christmas media is so negative to the point of being unrealistically
mean and
just
evil.
mean and evil, just to make the concept of Christmas seem more special.
I think you're right. Because watch any Christmas movie, everyone's an asshole.
Like, just all the time. Like, unreasonably so. Mm-hmm. Just to make, like...
The concept of getting...
something slightly nice in the world seems like the biggest gift
of all time.
It's like an abusive relationship watching these films.
It's like, you have to... Like, the movie creators always have to make everyone the worst person possible, especially to the main character. Mm-hmm. Just so that whenever... I don't know, Jesus, the priest, Santa, whoever it is, comes in and shows how amazing they are by
just
showing
the tiniest bit of kindness.
The tiniest bit of kindness shows that they are amazing and godlike at how cool they are. Mm-hmm. Just because they had to make everyone else seem so ludicrously evil.
Yeah.
Every time.
Mm-hmm. And it's like, it's this way, like, Donner, or Rudolph's parents are awful for no good reason. Santa's awful for, like, the first 2/3 of this film for no good reason. All the other reindeer, all the elves.
Yeah.
Like, they're all just awful people, and
they're
then
cruel.
all of a sudden, it's like, oh no, now we're gonna be nicer.
We're gonna be chummy.
And, like, I know this is a meme, but this is such an accurate meme of this movie.
Why weren't you at elf practice?
No, not that.
Okay, which one?
The one where it's a picture of Rudolph, and it says, any abnormalities are considered bad unless we can find a way to profit from them.
Yes.
That's not the exact wording of that
Unless we can
meme.
exploit them.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, yeah, Rudolph doesn't become accepted for who he is. He becomes accepted because they find a way to
use
his nose.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with, like, his own strength of character or, like, anything else.
Okay, to say some nice things about this movie, I think the animation's better than Willie McBean. Not a whole lot, but, I mean, there's at least a little bit of thought put into some of the characters.
There are a few nice animation effects I like. I really like the effect of
The snowman?
the snowman walking through the snow.
Yes, that's specifically what I'm talking about, where, you can see him, cresting through the snow and stuff, and, that looks good.
Someone thought that out and executed it, and planned it, and
It works.
It's nice. I really like that. The songs from this short are iconic, and I think they're fine.
Yeah. Anytime
Burl Ives as the snowman is very charming.
Whenever there is an action sequence, it looks terrible.
Yeah.
Just,
We were saying nice things, Sean, and you just switched to awful things again.
I'm sorry, it's hard. This movie also has rampant sexism, of course. Because why would you ever even consider one of the female deer pulling the sleigh? It's not even a concept in this movie. Only boys can do reindeer games. Only boys will do things. And we gotta make sure to get the women back home safely is a line that they use in this movie. Get the women back home safely.
Well, okay, no. What infuriates me most about that is that they lose the prospector guy, Cornelius. And they're like, the narrator comes in and he's like, they were all very sad, but no time to dwell on that because we have to get the women back home safely.
Well, they are all very sad at the loss of their friend, but they realize that the best thing to do is to get the women back to Christmas Town.
I'm just like, oh man, that's like toxic masculinity and sexism all rolled into one big stupid ball.
I hate you, 60s. Okay.
Okay.
I don't think we need to talk about that anymore. Unless you have something else you want to add to that.
Again, with the Rankin Bass stuff, I think the character designs are great.
Sure.
The character design for Herbie the elf is really cute. Rudolph is adorable.
Audio's bad in this one.
The audio's real bad.
Have you ever tried to listen to this movie?
Oh, I hate the sound effects
Rudolph?
they use for Rudolph's nose.
Yeah.
It's just like this high-pitched flute.
Whatever it is, it's constant and it's always there and it's awful.
Yeah.
It overpowers anything else going on in the scene.
It's like, if there's one thing to ostracize Rudolph for, it's not for his glowing red nose, it's for the sound his glowing red nose makes.
But the thing is, I don't think his nose actually makes that noise. I think it's...
That's just them adding a sound effect to
adding
it.
a sound effect so that we as the audience knows that other people notice his nose. And it's like, no, we get that.
We get it, the light was enough. Adding the sound effects just makes it awful.
Makes me understand why they hate him.
I hate him too. Merry Christmas! So the other short of theirs we watched was Frosty the Snowman.
Which was a lot shorter than I remember it being. It's only a half hour long. For some reason, I thought this one was another, like, hour-long special. No. Because that's what Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer was. And this is, may not be their first, but is probably their most iconic early animated, like, traditionally animated films from Rankin Bass.
The animation's so much better here.
Because it's traditionally animated.
Well, no, and it's not because it's a traditional versus 2D. Like, they could have made an awful-looking traditionally animated cartoon.
I mean, that's true.
But they didn't. Like, the animation's just better in this than it is in their stop-motion stuff.
It's still very limited, which doesn't surprise me. Because, obviously, they had a very strict budget.
But the character designs are nice.
Again, the character designs are still good because it's Rankin Bass and they got that part down.
Yeah. Yeah, the character designs are something that, like, I have absolutely zero critique on. I'm like, they're iconic and they look great.
The songs are fine. The guy they got to narrate and sing it again is fine. I don't remember his name, but it's someone else this time. I don't think there was rampant sexism in this one. I don't remember it.
Nope.
Like, the only, like, this one's honestly mostly fine.
Yeah, the biggest annoying thing about it is the bad guy they throw in there.
Who's like a bad magician.
Yeah, and he keeps wanting to steal Frosty's hat. And it all just culminates into this, like, really big anticlimax where the magician, like, murders Frosty, and then all they have to do is have Santa open the door to the greenhouse, and the magic snow comes back, and Frosty's fine.
And then Santa just kind of chastises the guy a little bit.
Yeah, he's like, I'll never bring you presents ever again if you don't frickin' stop murdering this snowman. So the guy's like, oh, okay, I guess. And he goes home.
And that's it.
Yeah, it's like, really, if you just cut his parts out, it would be exactly the same, but with less snowman murdering.
Yeah, or like, even if you want him to die, do it.
Yeah, it's like, you could just have the wind close the door.
And they get locked in.
They're locked in, and then Santa shows up, and the same thing happens, except you don't have this annoying magician character.
Yeah. There, we solved it.
We fixed the movie.
This movie that came out too many
50 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
50 plus years ago.
No, 49. This one came out in 69.
Okay.
Yeah. So 59 years ago, or 49 years ago, we fixed it.
We did it. We're done here, folks.
Case solved. Also, because he has to seem larger than life, they gave Santa Claus a echoing godlike voice.
Yeah.
All right. Whatever.
Yeah, not a whole lot to critique about this one. It did always bother me as a kid, though. Because, like, I was forced to watch these a lot as a kid. The continuity of Rankin Bass shorts, that, like, Santa Claus didn't look the same in all of them.
Oh, yeah, no.
And, like, I know I was talking to you about this when we were watching the short, but I was actually saying how I'm more familiar with the Frosty, the Snowman, and Jack Frost special that they did.
And I didn't even know this existed.
Than I am with this one, because I remember Jack Frost being evil in that one. And then Rankin Bass also did a Jack Frost stop motion special where he's just like this nice guy, and then like through circumstances he turns into Jack Frost, and he's got this love interest girl. I don't remember too much of it, but he's a nice guy in that one, so it always bothered me that in a different Rankin Bass special Jack Frost is a bad guy.
Okay.
Because it's bothersome because Rankin Bass also does sequels to their Christmas specials. Like, I think Frosty the Snowman and Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer have 2 sequels each.
Oh, wow.
And then, like, a crossover special where they're together.
Oh, no. And I mean, okay. One last thing I want to say about Rankin Bass.
I mean, we're going to have plenty of chances to talk about them still.
Yeah, but I think this is a good time to bring it up because I brought this up while we were watching this.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like Rankin Bass is the illumination
Of the 60s?
of the 60s. Because
we've always got to have one.
they find a popular idea, Christmas, and then they exploit the crap out of it for minimum budget, minimum thought and effort, and maximum profit. And they keep doing it over and over and over again.
You say that, and I don't think you're necessarily wrong, but I don't think Christmas was that big of a, like, popular cultural phenomenon in the 60s.
But, like, that's all they do.
Today. Like, yeah, sure, everybody was celebrating Christmas, but, like, Christmas goes through bouts of being, like, extremely popular and not, and you can kind of tell by, like, what kind of Christmas movies come out.
Okay.
And the fact that, like, the best remembered Christmas stuff from this era is Rankin Bass shorts kind of tells you the state Christmas was in during the 60s.
Not a lot.
Like, not very popular.
Okay.
And just kind of over the years, these have gained a more of a cult following and are seen as classics.
Okay.
So.
All right, let's move on.
So, now it's time to end this all off with Disney. Who, for the record, we watched It's Tough to Be a Bird and a Symposium of Popular Songs. 2 different shorts from Disney, but
Both?
I gotta say,
They feel very similar.
they're very similar in certain aspects, but they're about, like, wildly different things.
Oh, yeah. But I may be wrong, but this is the point. Well, I guess I know this to be a fact. Disney is doing weird things. They're testing the waters. They're doing strange shorts. They're going out there and doing things. They also like messages. They love sending, like, general goodwill messages. And trying to bring light to things that people aren't really paying attention to.
Yeah, I mean, both of these shorts are edutainment in some form or another. The Symposium of Popular Songs is a short all about Ludwig von Drake claiming that he has wrote music or popular songs from each decade.
Yes.
In popular culture, and then it goes through, like,
papercraft or, like, other very basic stop motion stuff as they sing all the songs.
Yes, they sing all these different songs. And oh boy howdy, does this one have some
Real bad racism.
I mean, it's not, like, real bad, but it's like, oh yeah, you would not do that today.
Yeah, little Chinese fortune cookie bakery man.
Yeah. But I unabashedly love this short. I think it's a lot of fun.
I mean, Ludwig,
no matter what he is in, is always a blast. Disney, bring him back, you cowards!
Get him out of Mickey Mouse Clubhouse or whatever it is. Put him in something more adult.
Is he in that?
Yeah.
Oh.
He's in the new, like, 3D Mickey Mouse thing that they're doing.
Oh, you're wasting his potential. He's so funny.
He's just kind of like a random mad scientist guy that shows up every now and again, but in, like, a super hard-edged G sort of sense.
Right.
So he does nothing.
I know he's cameoed every once in a while in the new Mickey Mouse shorts that we really like.
Oh, yeah, just a couple of times.
But I'm always like, oh man, I want more Ludwig. He's like my favorite duck.
Yes, he is the best. He's the best Disney duck. And
Scrooge
is right there. Scrooge
second.
is right there as well.
But Ludwig's just so crazy, and he's got, you know, the color song.
And this whole short.
Yeah, he's just fantastic. And anyone who has not seen any of these, like, old Ludwig shorts,
just look
especially
them
the
up.
color song
Yes.
and the short,
look them
like,
up.
you really need to watch them. They have some great animation. I think he was originally animated by Ward Kimball and Milt Kahl. Like they would kind of tag team his character.
That's
and I
amazing.
could be wrong on that, but
If
it very
that's
much
true,
feels like them.
if that's true, that's awesome.
Yeah, like I feel like I read at one point that Milt Kahl did a lot of the keys,
Okay.
and Ward Kimball did a lot of just like the animation then. So like, what a perfect dynamic for just something like crazy but solid.
Yes.
Yeah. And It's Tough to Be a Bird is actually directed by Ward Kimball because, as you might guess here, Ward Kimball, after, like, I don't know, Alice in Wonderland, basically moved on to work in the shorts department.
Okay.
And the TV department.
So he didn't really do a lot of the movies that were coming out at this point, which weren't many.
Huh?
Which weren't many.
No.
Not a lot of movies.
Well, and that's why the Disney films have been coming out, like, further and further apart.
It's because a lot of the main
Because the
team-
Disney movie team has gotten very small.
Mm.
And you basically have this one team that's doing movies, and then the rest of these people have been kind of going everywhere. Like, you've got some animators that are working on, like, Mary Poppins and the animation segment in that. You've got your Imagineers that are working at Disneyland now, which after 101 Dalmatians, they got Mark Davis working there, and Ward Kimball's been working on shorts.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah.
So, like, the main animation team is falling apart.
Mm-hmm. And you can argue that the more interesting things coming out of this decade are the things that aren't
the movies.
The movies.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't think you're wrong.
Because, like I think the Ludwig animations in both this and in the Color Song is some of the best animation this decade has to offer, period.
I would agree.
And, you know, that's not something that was in the movies.
Mm-hmm. And, like, all the work...
Not to say that the movies don't have its moments, because, like, obviously Cruella de Vil and all of 101 Dalmatians has some great animation.
Just
and,
all those dogs.
Yeah, and later on we'll be talking about The Jungle Book, and that has some fantastic animation in it as well. But as far as, like, the short subject goes, so much of it is limited animation, and a lot of it's not bad limited animation, but a lot of it's also not that special either.
Mm-hmm. Anyways, It's Tough to Be a Bird.
Yeah.
Is essentially a brief synopsis of bird history and how humans have viewed birds. And then, stop killing us, please. We're cool, and a lot of the cool birds are on the endangered list, so maybe stop
killing us.
Stop killing us.
Even though we know you're totally jelly of our flight powers.
Yeah. It's essentially how they're spinning it.
Yeah. I like this
yeah.
short because it's very Ward Kimball. It has a strong message. It talks about, like, bird watching and stuff, and, like,
Which is, sure, I understand what you're going for, but I could not find I mean, I'm sure I could, but it ranks up there with some of the most boring sounding hobbies imaginable to me.
Yeah, I mean, I would only go bird watching if I was working on an animated short with birds in it.
Yeah, but past that, it's like, I don't find the idea of trudging through the wilderness for hours on end just to have, like, 5 minutes of possibly watching a single bird from, like, half a mile away.
Uh-huh.
To be that interesting of a concept.
No. But hey.
It's right up there with fishing.
Oh, yeah.
Fishing is just right out.
Right. Well,
for one, you're sitting in a boat on water, and that's not okay with me. And then you're not doing anything for literally hours.
Yeah. I mean, I find bird watching a bit more pleasurable than fishing, because yeah, the sitting on a boat for hours doing nothing to catch, hurt, and or kill a fish, just not my thing. But like trudging through the woods, I like that. Listening to birds, sure, why not? Would there be other things I would do with my time? Yeah.
Absolutely.
But, like, if someone was like, hey, you want to take a few hours and go walk through the woods? I want to look for some birds. I'd be like, okay.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, it's not,
Not for you.
wowee boy howdy.
But the animation in the shorts, really nice.
Mm-hmm.
When it's there. It is a mix of animation and live action.
And then there's like this weird like stop motion dream sequence where it's just like a bunch of like cut out photos and stuff.
It goes crazy.
It goes
the end.
nuts.
I love how experimental these.
Both of these are?
Yeah, both of these shorts are, because they're just something that like you would not get in the theatrical movies,
Mm-hmm.
and it's something that we've seen experimented around with at other studios, but they haven't had the budget to just like go crazy with it.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas with Disney's letting them have the budget to go crazy with it,
It's
and
like,
so
just
they're
do
just
it.
having fun and like really making it expressive, and it's cool.
Yeah. And that's the shorts.
That's all the shorts we watched. And then I have kind of like a final statement, which I wrote out, and I think I'm just going to read it, and then we can kind of talk about it.
Okay.
So here's what I wrote. I said, the quality problem finally reaches a head, and now you're left with a lot of old guys in the field making lukewarm content. The creative spark from shorts is gone, diminishing their value from something that was barely appreciated in the first place to something extremely old-fashioned, uncool, and way more expensive than they're worth.
Yeah.
And that's sadly kind of how the short dies, is that,
It's not cool to work on shorts.
well, you started off with shorts in the 30s and 40s where they just barely made enough money
Mm-hmm.
to get in there to begin with. And to be frank, no one was going to the theater to see shorts. People were going to theater for the movie, and then if it came with a short in front of it, cool. But they weren't paying extra money
Yeah.
for the short.
They were paying the regular amount, and that was just an added bonus.
Mm-hmm. So the short's value has always been just,
Tenuous at best.
yeah, just barely enough to excuse its existence being there.
Mm-hmm. It just gives the people a break from just watching newsreels and stuff like that.
Right. And as a result of its cheap quality, like, you know, I have a book now that's like a history of mice and magic from Leonard Maltin, and it has a list of all the shorts made by the different studios, and you can see year by year through the 40s, or through the 30s through 50s, just the amount of shorts these studios had to make to scrape by.
It was ludicrous.
Yeah, it's insane. And by the time you get to the 60s, the industry is filled with all of these people who have been in the industry for 20 or more years already.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, well, it's no wonder everything in the 60s feels so tired and, like, uncreative.
The people doing it are tired and out
Yeah.
of creative juices.
They've been worked to the bone, and now their budget is next to nothing. And no matter what people tell you, a starving artist does not good art make.
Yeah. They might make one thing that's really good and then they'll die. Or you could feed them and give them time and money, and then they can make many great things.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll keep living.
Yeah. But, like, just this whole business model that these people have created and fostered and kept going is just collapsing underneath them because the industry doesn't really support it anymore because everything's moving to TV. And TV is making it even cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have to make things even cheaper to get it out there. And you have to produce things even faster.
So that's why you get things like Hanna-Barbera where nothing happens.
Mm-hmm. And Hanna-Barbera, like, revolutionized limited animation to make it even more limited.
Yeah.
I think I found a great quote in the Leonard Maltin book where it was just saying, like, they're essentially illustrated radio series.
That seems accurate. Holy crap, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Oof.
Oof. Big oof. But, I mean, that we'll have to talk about more when we get to the end of this decade, and we'll actually do a television.
Television, yeah.
Yeah, so our shorts episodes are basically going to be replaced by television episodes. And I don't even have a list yet for television shows of the 60s we need to check out.
But there's a lot.
Yeah, but there will be a lot.
I'm 100% sure there's going to be a lot of TV to watch.
Uh-huh.
And it's just gonna keep getting worse.
Keep getting bigger. So, we'll have to see where the industry goes from here.
Mm-hmm.
I hope you guys all enjoyed this episode.
And join us back here next week as we do a wrap-up of the first half of the 1960s. We're going to do our animation awards. We're going to have any final thoughts we have on that section of the 60s. We'll talk about who we thought was the best and who did the worst. Less so, but more so focus on the best of various aspects. I mean, we've done this twice now. You can go back and see what we've done.
Yeah.
It'll be a similar effect.
Yeah, so see you guys then, and hope you all are having some happy holidays from us to you.
Right, a Christmas special.
Yeah. And see you all next time.
Bye.
Charleston, a poo-poo-pee-doo, a poo-poo-pee-doo-doo. I'm gonna rock Cumberland.
Find $1 million in your smile.